Shalom and welcome to Students of Torah. This year is entitled 50 Shameful Years of Neglect of the Temple. We learned Radak, Perkov Dalit Shmuel Bet on Tanakh, Parsuk Tet Zayin. We learned the Ramban Shlishi, Parshat Korach. The Ramban writes that the Jews, including the Gedolim, including the Shoftim, that include Ehud, Yiftach, Gidon, Devorah, the whole list that they all neglected for 400 years. The Shechna Sidrusu Vasa Sham, they all neglected the Mikdash. They didn't ask God about it, and God said nothing to them about it. Because they were in Doresh. David said, you're not Doresh. There's not going to be any Uvat Hashama. 400 years they neglected it. Finally culminated in an unbelievable, tragic Magifah where 70,000 were killed. Until David finally was Doresh. And then the Malach came and showed him exactly where it is. Tragic. Now, 1967, back in our hands. I wonder if the past 50 years is even more shameful of those 400 years where the giants neglected the Mikdash then. Ramban takes them to task for it, and I'm wondering if we have the same negligence, but even worse. Why? Because during those times, they had a Mishkan. So at least they had some kind of sacrificial service. They had the Avodah. They had Korbanos. So it was a little sad that they're moving from place to place, but at least they have the Korbanos. We don't have any Korbanos. So they had the Korbanos in 400 years of the Shoftim, the greatest leaders. They had the Korbanos. And still Ramban says, shame on you. Shame on you for not wanting to have the Mikdash. Shame on you for not having any obrus, any awakening to have the Mikdash. Even though they had the Korbanos. They had the Mizbeach. They had sacrifices. They just didn't have the house. Still, shame on you, he says. We, nowadays, 2018, Tafshinayin Ches, 50 years after the conquest of Har Bayis, we don't have any Korbanos, no Mishkan. And yet there's no Hisorus in a real way to try to have the Mikdash and figure out how we're going to do this. So to me, we compare quite unfavorably to the Shoftim, who themselves were criticized. At least they had a Mishkan and Korbanos. Number two, they had no clue where the Mikdash was. The days of the Shoftim, they didn't know where. Nobody knew. There was no remnants that they knew from the Akedas Yitzchak. Where is the Mizbeach's place and location? They didn't know. Still, they were negligent because they should have searched and tried, and then Hashem would have revealed it like he did to David in the end. But they can have a little bit of defense. We have no idea where it is. We know where the Mikdash is. We know where the Har Bayit is. We have a pretty good feel for exactly where the Mizbeach is as well. And yet, quiet among so many people, masses and leaders alike. And sometimes many of the leaders are not quiet because they're busy saying, don't you talk about it. Don't go up. Don't talk about the Mikdash. So I'm very, very nervous when I think about the last 50 years. Because if the Shoftim, the leaders, the Gedolim were criticized for 400 years of neglecting the Mikdash, even though they had Korbanos, and even though they didn't have a clue where the Mikdash was, how much more so could Chas v'Shalom this be an accusation against us, where we don't have any Korbanos, we have no Mizbeach, we know the Makom, and we're not doing a thing about it. many, many, many leaders and masses alike. There's a few Yechidei Segula that are looking and searching and trying. The Rav Ariels and those heroes of our times that are trying to figure out how we're going to have the Mikdash, how we're going to build the Mizbeach now and the menorah now, not wait. So there's a few that are Doresh, but the masses of people, many of them and many of the leaders, seem to be following the trend of Shoftim. And Chas v'Shalom, that the wrath should be that much greater. Chas v'Shalom. Mitzvah Hashem will turn around, we'll start being involved in the midst of Doresh, and we'll do tshuva for our past 50 years of neglect, where we're not Doresh, and there's no Hisorus for the Mikdash. Shalom.